Reusse Unchained, presented by Josh Arnold, investment consultants, Mr. Money Talk. We will get you a big Twins win in the ninth inning last night, but I don't think we've connected with you since it became official that JJ McCarthy is out. Well, they haven't put him on IR yet, and Judd was floating in Doogie some speculation yesterday that maybe they leave the window open for December, but he's probably out for the year. Pat, your thoughts?
Yes. You hear meniscus originally, and you know about all these guys who come back in 6 weeks and play. And athletes of all kind, obviously more difficult in football if you're a lineman or something, and somebody's going to run into you. But yeah, I don't think any. I think that's what caught everybody surprised that a meniscus would cost you a whole year. But then I guess we were reading before they decided there's two ways to go. You can either repair it or pretty much replace it, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, and they decided to go that route. I think it gives the management boys, Kwesi and O'Connell, an excuse to, hey, you got to give us a couple of more years. I don't think they're in trouble anyway. I don't buy the idea that this season's going to decide their jobs. I guess it's going to decide how much of an extension they get. But I don't know. It was, I was up in the North Woods when he played his first game, so I didn't see it. But everybody was impressed, and he is an athlete. That's one thing about him that you look at the list of those players that were coming in, and you don't immediately think of the Michigan quarterback who handed off half the time or 2/3 of the time as the athlete. But he's a terrific athlete. So yeah, it's bad because it doesn't set him up to be your starter next year like you were hoping this year would do, does it? But I think he can still be your starter next year,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Dante didn't get injured, but Dante went from what, one play in his first year, rookie like that, to, and then they were gonna bring in Dan Marino or somebody. Remember that?
Yeah,
Danny
that's
was
right.
looking around. Danny was looking around for a veteran, and then he say, "Oh, I got to play this kid." And if you take his 7 years, even with the small hands, he's probably the second greatest Viking quarterback of all time. Him or Tommy Kramer, one of the two. But
The Kirk disrespect there was
yes, Kirk
palpable.
Well,
disrespect is
and
palpable.
2009 Favre, which Phil is certainly going to bring up as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, not he wasn't here long enough. But the 2009 Favre might have been the best ever. Okay, remember the first
Thank
two
you.
games he played? We were saying,
Ge-
I
Well,
don't know. And then the second game, he threw that touchdown pass at the back of the end zone to pull it out, and from there, he was fantastic.
so so they beat in those first two games were on the road in Cleveland and Detroit, and we all wrote, "Hey, look, Brett Favre, he's almost 40. He's doing a beautiful job of managing the game."
Yes,
And we
right,
asked him
right.
about it, and I really think he got pissed off. He's like, "I
Yeah.
ain't no game manager. I'll show you."
Was it the game? The one
Game three,
behind the end zone was his first game in the dome. Was that right?
yes, home opener,
And at the end of that game, who was that against? Who was that
San
against?
Fran.
San Fran.
Greg Lewis, great one-handed
Right.
leaping
Yeah,
catch,
right.
improbable.
Back, and then it went from there. It was great. So, uh, I don't know. I don't think this is a crisis. Everybody says everybody's trying to come up with these historical things. There's never been a quarterback drafted in the first round who got hurt and missed the entire season. And like that means anything. It doesn't mean anything. So I don't think it's, a lot of people thought this was a throwaway, another 7 and 10 year, and now it probably is, right? But I don't think it's a crisis for the future of the franchise or anything like that because it's a meniscus. It'll be fine. He just doesn't have to he has to avoid getting hurt again. That's the problem. So
Yeah, it is. It is amazing how often this happens, though, to Vikings. Like you bring up Dante Culpepper, Teddy Bridgewater. That I
yes,
think Judd brought it up earlier this week. It's less about the future of McCarthy. He's going to be fine. It's more just it's another anvil on the head of Vikings fans. Roadrunner style.
okay. I gotta say this though. Right now, your Fighting Twins are playing without Correa, without Buxton, without Joe Ryan. Three of their top, as I said on Twitter, three of their top 7 or 8 players, right? And most important, three of their 7 or 8, and all the sympathies going to the poor Vikings. How can this, how can they survive? Oh, the poor Vikings, they're jinxed. They're not jinxed. Listen, their fans never got over the hump, but they have probably been awful less than any team since the mid 60s when they turned it
yeah.
around, when Bud came to town.
Yeah.
So 60 years, they have probably been awful less than any as few times as any team in the NFL. You're not poor, miserable, suffering fans. It's just they haven't gotten over the hump. Now, the the only true disaster that I can think of, because it's not Blair Walsh missing a field goal when you're going to get beat the next week anyway. What the hell difference does it make? It's just fun to talk about now that he did it. But the only disaster that they really had was losing the game to Atlanta here, and that's the worst loss of all time. Losing the game to Atlanta here, because that was a
The
super
Saints
team.
is a close second, Pat. The
Yes, yeah,
2009 is a
yeah,
pretty
and they
atrocious.
and this idea, oh, they would have lost the Super Bowl anyway. No, they wouldn't have.
Oh, Sid.
Uh, by definition, they wouldn't have. But yeah, Saints is a close second for sure, because Judd and I were talking about this the other day. They should have let Longwell kick the field goal anyway. Instead of, oh, now we gotta let Brett throw one more pass. So that was true. But I'm just, this whole, oh, poor Viking fans things is a bunch of nonsense, because they aren't terrible very often. So
Yeah.
anyway,
By
even
the way,
this year they won't be terrible. They'll be okay.
speaking of the Falcons, by the way, I don't know if you saw. So they've made they signed Justin
Yes.
Simmons, one of the better safeties, free agents left over. They traded for Matthew Judon. They've got weapons. Just plug a quarterback in, and I'm just saying, one could expect the Falcons to make a playoff run. That one could set that bar for an expectation to make a run deep in the playoffs.
And then he'll choke in the first one. Don't worry about it. Just like he did up here.
Michael
One
Penix? I don't think so.
time.
I like the
Michael
kid.
Penix. Michael Penix. Yeah, still. What in New England is trying to lose as many games as they possibly can, huh? By not have Judon. I heard Jared Mayo's post game press conference talking about it. He might be harder to deal with than Belichick was. He answers no questions. He talks around everything. He makes every one of his answers is 15 words and just a cliche, man. And they're talking about letting Judon go, and then he says, "Well, we've let a lot of good premium pass rushers go, and then we come up with a good pass rush anyway, and we do it by numbers." Next question. That's
Yeah,
it.
sounds
So
good. Okay, guy.
it's
Yeah.
it's but yeah, they I don't know. What about the where's the Eagles guy that they let go, who's got now been fined $1 million, and he's not signing? Don't they? Yeah, the pass rusher.
Oh,
Oh,
Hassan Reddick,
Hassan Reddick. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Where's he?
Jets
Who's
guy.
Well, technically a Jet, even though he hasn't
yeah?
reported to any of their
Well,
offseason stuff.
I heard somebody talking about this, and they're right. Philadelphia can't sign this guy, and they trade him to you for money, right? Because of money. They well, when you get him, he's not going to report to you either, is he? I mean, why do you make that trade? Why do you give up a third, fourth, or fifth round draft choice if you don't intend to pay him?
It is
I
weird. I also don't know what his end game is, because
oh
he's going to keep getting fined. Is he
yes,
going to Le'Veon Bell his way through this and then just miss a year and then not
well,
get paid? It's
and
weird on both sides.
the trouble is the NFL finally, what, about 4 or 5 years ago, said you can't rescind the fines, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't it
yeah.
before that part of the deal when the
Yes.
guy came back would be
He's
the
also a
fines got
free
rescinded?
agent at the end of the year, so why
Yes,
not just play your ass off for
yes,
a year
right.
and then have 5 teams bidding on you? It's
Yes,
it's
it's
weird.
sometimes I don't know, they're not very smart sometimes. But anyway, back to the original thought. I think that it's been a bad training camp. because as I've been talked about it before, it reminds you of 2010 when everything was good and then everything went bad. This time everything's not good, but I don't see it as a long term disaster here, and I don't think the Vikings have been a long term disaster. So
No.
even they even came over one of the dumbest general managers in history, Rick Spielman, who couldn't wait to trade. He'd have a chance to get a good third or fourth rounder and trade it for 4/6. What a moron he was. So I think that they even with him screwing things up almost every draft, it was you think he would have traded up for Dallas Turner? Heavens no, he would have figured out a way to trade Dallas Turner for sixth, seventh rounders. So
Rick would not be sitting here today with 3 draft picks and maybe a compensatory pick kicked in for 2025. That I know.
no, but I'll tell you, you did mention that Teddy is another disaster, right? I wasn't a big Teddy fan. I didn't think he was great, but
Well, yeah, that
he was
career
going to be
altering.
your quarterback for 5 years. I remember we were at the state fair that day. Was it you and Phil? Phil, were you and I at the
Yeah,
state
Mike. Yeah,
fair that day?
Two of
And
you,
we
yeah.
maybe.
heard
Mike Morris was on the bus with us. I can't remember what combination of shows it
and,
was, but
and
yeah,
and we heard in the morning that they had to save his life. And
yeah,
what it just came out of nowhere because they're practicing at Winter Park where God intended the Vikings to practice, not some big Taj Mahal out in the middle of nowhere. And we couldn't believe what do you mean how can a knee injury damn near
Yeah.
kill you? It was amazing. Were you out there then, Judd? Who was out there?
No, I was in the studio and I got word. Was it Matthew Collar by then
Collar might
Or Kramer? Oh, Collar just
Kramer.
started, I think though. I think
Mm-hmm.
he had just started with us, so he might have been out there with Kramer at the time. But yeah, it was an inexplicable thing because they basically said, well, he hurt his leg, and so at first you're like, oh, okay,
Oh, well, that's too
But then it turned
bad.
out you heard that he had dropped back to pass, hadn't got hit, and his leg basically snapped. You're like, oh yeah, they're gonna have to find a new quarterback.
What do you think he would have been if he hadn't, if that, not that? Do you think he would have been you know, a good above average quarterback for 5 years or something better than that?
I think with that receiving core, he would have been pretty good. Like, I mean, he didn't have the arm to be great, but I think that he didn't make a ton of mistakes. Zimmer loved him. His
Yes,
teammates loved him.
Zim,
I mean, he's the only
Zim,
quarterback Mike loved.
yes, yeah, Zim loved him,
Mike
man.
never loved
Zim,
again after that.
Zim still wanted to go back to him like 2 years later somehow. He always wanted everybody to be Teddy Bridgewater. That was yeah. He did.
Yeah.
What do you think it was? Teddy always said, "Okay, Mike, that's good."
Well,
Never
and he
argued
didn't.
with him.
Well, he didn't make dumb passes in Mike's mind.
Hmm.
I mean, Keenum was a ticking time bomb in Mike's mind,
So
and then
is Mike
Kirk, he just didn't like him.
Mike's now the defensive coordinator in Dallas again? Is
Oh
that
yeah,
right? Is
oh
he
yeah.
down
Yeah.
in Dallas? No, talk about an addict. There is a football addict. What is he
Well,
now?
he
Late
might. This might be
60s?
strategy, Pat. Because if you're looking at
Oh
current
yeah.
odds for coaches to get fired, old Mike
Oh
might
yeah.
be an interim head coach by about November 1st.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, sure. Listen. I've been shocked the last 3 years that McCarthy came back. I can't believe he came back this year. But you're right. That's Zim can take him over in game 8, make the playoffs, win a playoff game, and get a 2-year, 3-year contract from crazy Jerry Jones. Jerry spends all his time now, though, having post-practice press
Yeah,
conferences about CC Lamb. He's talking about nobody's
yeah.
ever gotten more pumped. Now CC hasn't showed up either, right?
Seedy,
Or
you got to put some
CD,
respect on his name. Yeah.
CDCC.
CD,
No, he's not there.
and and so is he getting fined every day too? Because they
Well,
don't they
he's
have
coming
a
off a rookie. It's a
So he's
rookie
not.
scale. So if you're coming off your rookie contract, you don't get fined, or the fines
even
are
even if
refundable.
they picked him up for the 5th year already, so then he doesn't
Right.
have a contract now.
And
Okay,
he wants
Yeah.
to be paid now, which I
yes.
don't blame him for. But
The,
what's weird
the
is
way receivers are
Dak.
being paid, what the hell?
So Dak's 2024 is the last year of his contract. So like all the first take shows and stuff now just scream about Dak the whole time. I
Now,
heard Stephen A. and Mad Dog screaming at the top of their lungs about Dak Prescott this morning.
yeah, help me here though. What kind of a contract did Purdy get? Did Purdy get some
He
of
has
his
not. He has
contract?
not gotten one yet.
Don't give him any money. He's mediocre. He's a
But you have. That's
mediocre
the thing about the
athlete.
NFL, though, Pat. Like Tua got paid. You either
Yeah.
have to.
Two is good,
Jordan
though.
Love got
Two is
55 million.
good. Two is good. This guy's good because the 49ers have the best players in football. And they're not, if you have to pay this stiff $50 million, you're not going to have the best players in football. I heard someone on the radio, I just heard a clips of it. I think it was one of our ESPN shows. Purdy could get 60 million. Are you crazy? Is that the total deal? Maybe I mean, I guess the next great quarterback contract's going to be 60 though, right? Somebody's going to get 60 or we're pushing 60, right?
Well, Dak's going to try.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll try for sure. But the thing with Brock is, would it not be the ultimate big balls move by San Francisco if they took your advice and said, "Hey, we developed you. You don't want to come back on our terms. That's
No.
fine. We'll just go find a guy. We can just find guys."
Yes, they can. They can. We'll bring back Kaepernick or somebody, So
Yeah.
the hell with you. Anyway, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Hey,
Yeah.
before we talk some Twins here, Pat, let's talk
Okay.
about great places to get cars in the Twin Cities.
My place is the Valley Group of GM dealers, Jim Paul and Brett Paul. They have a store in Apple Valley and a store in Hastings. Got the one suburb covered and the other suburb covered. And right now, interest rates are great, 0.9, 1.9 for some of the vehicles. And factory rebates are back. And all the models of SUVs are available in full stock. They got 4 different Buick SUVs out there. They have the Sierra heavy duty trucks. They have there's a station. Buick's got a new station wagon that's fantastic, and this is what everybody's looking for in their vehicles now. All the young families, they got to have some place to throw their kids' equipment in the back, and Buick has a whole supply of those SUVs at good prices too, not the completely outrageous prices you see someplace else. I can't recommend these guys high enough. The Valley Group of GM dealers in Apple Valley and Hastings. You can go out there and make a great deal this weekend and be driving it next Tuesday, or if for the late summer trip to the lake. So Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers, Apple Valley and Hastings. I recommend them highly.
Yeah. So Twins last night manufacture a little game-winning
Wow.
run, a little small ball in the top of the ninth inning.
2 of the oddest runs you're ever going to see, including Kyle Farmer circling the bases. I'm sure the media loves having Kyle back in the lineup. He hadn't played much. He's been on the DL, and he's not doesn't have much left. But he had the good quotes today about circling the bases when he saw Tommy Watkins waving it home after the Rangers screwed up that play. I didn't see it, but I
It
read
just kind of
about it.
rolled along the base of the wall.
Yeah.
Then the camera cut away, and it was like still rolling.
He's
Center
still
fielder
running.
should have picked it up and couldn't,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that's where
They
the
gave him
error
an error,
comes in.
yeah.
Yeah, instead
They
of
Triple and
have
an error.
they have been taking advantage of some really bad outfield play in the last week or so by other teams. I mean, we got Margot playing center half the time, so that's dangerous. But the outfielders have screwed up some balls against them here, and this obviously was another one. But Bailey Ober gives up 2 right off the bat, which he's done it quite a few times, and then he pitches 5 scoreless innings. Now it was a little messier than normal, right? He had a base runner every inning, and
Yeah.
but he wasn't cruising. But still, you hold him to 2, and then Alcala gives him a scoreless 8th, but you bring in Jax, Alcala, and Duran, and win the ball game. And I think Johan went to. I was home by then. I think he went to at least 2, 3-2 counts, but then he ended up getting strikeouts on pitches that weren't in the zone.
yeah.
So Texas You got four down there, and they looked like they were going to start to hit again here, and then you hold them to 2 runs. But this is a brutal road trip because you know the defending champs have their backs against the wall, and you're playing them 4 times, and then you got to go out to San Diego, which is the hottest team in baseball. So, and you're doing it with with no Buxton, no Correa, and
But you got Zebby, so I
got
think he
Zebby.
probably makes up for some of your star
But
players being
Zebby's going to pitch Wednesday. Is it? No. I mean, going to
Sunday.
pitch Sunday or Monday? Maybe Monday. No, he's going to pitch Monday. So, yeah, I read that today. So he looked okay. He threw strikes, and he's a strike thrower. He wasn't that good in St. Paul. You know, he had an ERA. ERA of 5.5, but he threw pretty well, and he's a big, strong-looking guy. He's so. But they're right now in that situation where they need he and Festa both to be starters. And Festa had a couple of games where you kind of gave him a chance, and then he was bad again the last time. I'm not sure about him, but we'll see. I mean, what the hell? Their backs are against the wall right now, manpower wise. But squeezing out a win like that last night. Did you see the? Apparently, Vasquez's wife
Yeah.
threw quite the celebration for him being his 10-year anniversary of being in the big leagues, including bringing his parents in from Puerto Rico, right? And she had apparently before the game, she had a Puerto Rican band of, the Rocco was in on it, but they brought a Puerto Rican 7-piece band into the clubhouse
Bally
to
showed the whole
play.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
So
yep. I believe they were tipped
that's
off.
kind of fun. And hey, Christian was the worst hitter in Major League Baseball for 3 months, but he's had a few hits lately and hit a couple of home runs
Really
last
good.
week too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
he's been
So
okay.
so it's Sim tonight, Festa on Saturday against Evaldi, who's coming back off some type of strain or something, and then Pablo on Sunday.
Yes.
So
And
Zebby will go in San
Zabby, yeah, he's
Diego.
going. Good luck out there. Oof, they're
Yeah,
playing good. They're playing
the
great.
Diamondbacks are too. The National League West
Yes.
is crazy right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're right. Yes. Because Arizona's, I think, as good as San Diego's been, Arizona's got like the best record since July 1st or
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
They've been they're pretty good. So
Pat, we do have to run, but I'm going to give you a fun statistic here to send you off for your weekend. This was going into yesterday's games, but every hitter in baseball with at least 120 plate appearances ranked by OPS. Number 1, Aaron Judge. Number 2, Juan Soto. Number 3, Matt Wallner. Number
really,
4, Bobby Witt Jr. Number 5, Shohei Ohtani.
wow, unbelievable. At by the way, Aaron Judge is ungodly right now. Every time you watch him, he hits a rocket. I mean, it's these home runs he's hitting. Once in a while, they're majestic, but
Yeah.
usually they're ones that can kill 3 people in left field if they're not watching. He's just incredible how great he is. And Soda's been great, and obviously as those stats show. And yet the Yankees are, their pitching's all banged up, so they're not great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good
All right.
weekend.
Enjoy your weekend. There he
Yep.
is, Reusse Unchained here on SKOR North. Also, real quick, Judd, for you, I'll say bye to Pat real quick here. We are giving away on the SKOR North app a glorious 4K Roku TV, which automatically adjusts picture quality for your sporting events. You can really see those Matt Wallner fly balls in super high definition.
Yep.
$1,800 value. All you have to do is go to the SKOR North app, listener rewards section, and you can register to win a 75-inch 4K Roku TV. 75.
Can you imagine watching, in particular, hockey or golf? Because it used to be back in the old days, it was damn near impossible on TV to see the puck. Well, HD's improved that, but with this thing, and golf is great too, because like you can see the undulation now. You can see everything perfectly. The course, it's like you're on the course.
It really is. It's pretty much like holding the pin, basically. You can win that TV, that Roku 4K TV, 75 inches, SKOR North app, listener rewards. Reusse Unchained.